Let's jump to the war here, and today we've got a Rating Your Doomstack video covering the Bloody Hands, Wurzag the Great Green Prophet with a Savage Orc Biggin Doomstack, which is something that we covered before back in Warhammer 2, but this sort of takes it to a whole new level, this one. So we're going up against the High Elves, and they've got 3 full stacks across 2 different factions. We're going up against Etain and Ivres. And what makes this ridiculously strong is that he's put in a ton of effort to go sail around and get a whole bunch of sea encounters. So he's got Ensorcelled Blades for 11 turns, providing extra 8 melee attack and melee defense. Mathlan's Blessing for 22 turns, providing 25% extra physical resistance, and that's sort of the big one here. Then you've got the Curse of Cannibalism for regeneration for just for 5 more turns. And you've got Heavy Iron here for armor, weapon strength, and armor piercing, weapon damage for another 3 turns. So if we have a look at a Savage Orc Biggin, they've all got 90% physical resistance, 8% ward save, 30% missile resistance, and 45% spell resistance. So let's jump in here and see how it performs. We're only going to use the Biggin units. I'm not going to use the Black Orc big bosses. I know why he's put them into the army. The reason for that is each one of them has a skill that reduces the fatigue, or gives them fatigue resistance by, I think, 15%. So having 5 of them reduces the fatigue resistance, or increases their fatigue resistance to 100%. So basically they've all got perfect vigor. They will never get tired in a battle. Which, in all honesty, getting them exhausted when they're this strong isn't really that big of a deal. It's probably... But then again, you also stack on a whole bunch of items on these guys here so you can make them stupidly strong and make the enemies weaker. So that's something you can do. But we're not going to be using these guys in this battle, just testing out the Biggins. Now, the only things that we need to be really concerned about are units with magical attacks. And High Elves do have a fair few units that have magical attacks. So they've got the Keepers of the Flame. Regular Phoenix Guard don't have magical attacks, but the Keepers of the Flames do. And also, when they die, they explode, so they do a bit of damage to us. Sisters of Avalon are a problem. So they've got one over here, and there's one in the reinforcing army, I think. Yeah, there it is. Tyrannok Chariots, they've also got spellcasters. So I'm not trying to hide over here. What I'm trying to do is use the trees to sort of act as missile block chance for us. So another thing that he said that he did, and this is going to need some confirmation if this is actually a bug that happens, but apparently you can have more than one trophy at a time. So the obvious one is he's got the big Scalies trophy that's providing 15% physical resistance for all of his armies. But he said that he also has active Scarbrand's trophy, which is providing him with, I think, 20% spell resistance on top of that. So it'd be interesting if you could, in a campaign, actually get all of the trophies, or maybe you can only get 2 of them at a time, I'm not sure. And I guess another thing that you could do to make them even stronger is play as the Broken Axe. And get some cooking dishes, something that might boost them a little bit more. But we're playing as the Bloody Hand, so we've not got that here. Because all the buffs to physical resistance come from Wurzag. All you have to do is play as Broken Axe and Confederate Wurzag to get it. So what I'm doing here is I'm giving them like a slight chance to get organized. Obviously, if I parked all my units on the side over here, that would absolutely slaughter them. Oh, move. That actually did a fair bit of damage. We got another one coming down. Move. Yeah, it seems like those spells will do a fair bit of damage. Just gotta watch out for that. Let them get a little bit organized. Obviously, if I charge them right now, they're not going to be ready for it. They've also got some Knights of Torqueval in here as well. So those are very dangerous units. So we can get a little bit organized. Alright, that'll do it. Let's go. So we want to go as wide as possible. We really don't want to blob up. But at the same time, we don't want to go too wide, or else isolated units could get picked on. Yeah, they're really coming with those bombardments. A few of them have missed so far. The Sun Dragon's going to use a breath attack, but we don't have to worry about that too much because that's physical damage, not magical. Although it is flaming damage, which we are a little bit weak to. Obviously, if we brought the Black Orc big bosses over here, they would do even better. But meh. It's just overkill after a certain point. It seems like only the spells was ever going to do any serious damage to us. All of these physical attacks here just basically just tickle us. These Knights of Tor Gaval, they just can't do anything. You've got to keep in mind though that Savage Orc Biggins are anti-large, so big units like that stand practically no chance. Yeah, that's it. Keep using that attack, that spell, because that doesn't do anything to us. They've got the Sisters of Avalon that can't shoot because it's not in a good position. But what we want to do here is try to pull in a little bit, since they're not doing any damage to us, so that more of our entities are fighting at a time. So we can kill them quicker. Dragon landing, probably not going to do anything to us. So it's playing high off music, so the balance of power is not in our favor at the moment, but I imagine it's turning on them pretty quickly. They're just not doing any damage to us. Now, a downside to blobbing up like this, or being so tight, is that if they pop down another Uranus Thunderbolt, that could do a fair bit of damage. It's one thing when we're in loose formation, but if they pop it down now, that'd suck. So try to keep an eye on it. May need to dodge where possible. Alright, here come Etain, including the Keepers of the Flame. Now, we want to take out the Keepers of the Flame as quickly as possible, so send excuse me, as many units as possible to go fight it. Just got 1 or 2 units here, pulling back these archers. Yeah, those Phoenix Guard, they just can't do anything. So if we have a look there, yeah, they're starting to get kills, because they're bypassing all that physical resistance. Fighting in the forest is definitely good for us. Most of these shots here are getting blocked. No downside to fighting. Okay, so this one here, yeah, it's closer to the Keepers of the Flame, that's why it's taking casualties. But we are beating it. Definitely beating it. Come on, need more guys over here. They seem to have ceased the bombardments. Maybe they just need a bit more time to generate some magic. Okay, focusing on those Keepers of the Flame. I don't want them hanging around any longer than they need to. Okay, there's a bombardment. Let's get back. Try and dodge that. Good, I don't think that did anything to us. Yeah, no one died, that's good. Flame attack there, that did no kills. So we'll just regenerate from that. Also, that provides physical resistance, but it's completely redundant because 110 physical resistance is exactly the same as 90. Okay, these guys here have finished. There's artillery over here. It's been shooting and doing next to no damage. We are way too blobbed up over here. I need to pull some of these units out of this way. Oh no, that's fine. I thought that was a bombardment spell, but it was just apotheosis. No big deal. Okay, good. Pull out from this big ugly blob here. Spread these units out a bit more. I just really wanted to pound down on those Keepers of the Flame. That was important. Sentinels of Astarul doing next to nothing. Got all these archers on the run. Decent speed, so we'll definitely catch up to them. High up archers aren't that quick, except for maybe like Shadow Warriors. Trying to get some of our guys here to pull through this and go after the archers. Especially the Sisters of Avalon. Where did they go? Or did I already kill them? Or can I not see them? No, there they are. That's a good place to be fighting them, because most of their shots are getting blocked. They're sitting on top of each other, they're just not shooting very well. Okay, I'd say Ivres is pretty much out now. Good keepers of the flame. They only got 6 kills. They did a fair bit of damage, but it's all about the kills there, because any non-fatal damage can be healed pretty quickly. Yeah, they spread that 5,000 damage across multiple units and ended up with not that many kills. So if we have a look at the Ever Queen's Guard, they have only done 600 damage but no kills. That's what we want to see. Okay, Ivres has been beaten. If we have a look at their speed, 38, we can outrun them. And you can see here, all of our units are perfect vigor. They're not tired at all. It's just these archers remain now that refuse to engage. But because we have perfect vigor and they don't, they'll eventually get tired and we'll catch up to them. Plus our speed is higher than them. They should be really close to the army losses anyway. Come on. Main one to get is the Everqueen Court Guard. These ones here, they can't do anything to us. Try to pull through if we can. Kill them quickly. Because yeah, being in melee with the Everqueen's Court Guard, they've got physical damage when in melee. And there's the army losses. Cool. This is the only unit that took any more than 1 casualty. That was a unit that got a Uranus Thunderbolt at the start, and then had to also fight the Keepers of the Flame, so that one kind of got unlucky. Also, they've got the scrap upgrade, Idol of Gork, which is providing them the missile resistance. Well, it was really good in auto-resolve, and it performed better in manually resolve than it did in auto. So we only took 12 casualties. So the next thing I want to do is just check where all this physical resistance is coming from. Because it'll be coming from multiple different sources. I think that the base physical resistance for Savage Orc Biggins is 25%. And I think Wurzag alone can bring them up to 45%. But we'll just go through it when we get to the end turn. So with this kind of army here, you'd probably want to avoid fighting demon factions, although you could definitely beat them. Even if you go up against something like Khorne that's using, fire-based demons that all have magical attack and flaming attack, the Biggins would probably still rip them to shreds, especially Wurzag's one, because they've also got magical attacks. But that would be probably the worst matchup I could think of to put them up against. So maybe going up against the Demon Prince as well, as in Daniel the Demon Prince, that'd also be a bad matchup. Going up against Nurgle probably wouldn't matter too much because their melee attack sucks. So you just kill them really quick. Slaanesh could be a problem because of their high damage output and magical attacks. Alright. But yeah, if you just avoid the demon factions, all the mortal factions will have a mixture of magical attacks and physical attacks in their army. Another one that you might want to avoid when using this army is Black Arcs that are highly leveled up, where they've given magical attacks for the entire army. Same thing with Silostra. You might want to avoid her because she can give magical attacks for the entire army. Okay, now let's try and suss out where the physical resistance is coming from, so that if you want to build this yourself, this is what you do. So first thing we do is just recruit a new lord. and just see what the base physical resistance is on a Savage Orc Biggin unit, which is 40%. Now I think that's 25% base and 15% physical. 15% from the from the biggest Scalies trophies. Alright, so they're at 40%. We got to account for an additional 50%. The Great Green Prophet trait provides it with 20% physical resistance, so that brings them up to that 60%. And then this Colossal War Paint will give an extra 5%, bringing them up to 65%. And then, of course, Mathlan's Blessing will give the extra 25%, bringing them to 90%. So that's all it's counted for there. So if you didn't have Mathlan's Blessing, you'd only be able to max out at 65%, I think. Which is still pretty good. I think that's what we had last time on these guys. Unless he did actually have Mathlan's Blessing. I don't know. It was years ago. I can't remember. And then, of course, he's got the biggest Scalies trophies and also Scarbrand's trophy. And that one did actually help, especially against all those spellcasts there. While we did take some casualties against Uranus Thunderbolts, having that extra 20%, I think 20% extra spell resistance helped. Now, I think he also provides spell resistance for his army with, I'm not sure. No, that provides ward save there. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where all this spell resistance is coming from. Oh, maybe he defeated Heinrich Kemmler. That'd do it. Yeah, there it is. So he's gone and done a whole bunch of defeat traits as well. Anyway, guys, although getting defeat traits, it doesn't really make that big of a difference unless you're making a one-man doom stack. Because all the defeat traits really do focus, most of the defeat traits focus on the Lord themselves. You're not going to get that much that's going to buff it. There's no defeat trait that's going to give physical resistance or ward save to a unit. You might get a few points of melee attack here, a few points of armor, a few points of melee defense if you go and take out Miao Ying, for example, but none of it's going to make that big of a difference. Anyway, that's the end of this one here, guys. In terms of rating this, it's basically a 10 out of 10, but in terms of strength, it's top marks. In terms of ease of use, it's super easy to use. You really can't go wrong. Just click and watch them destroy everything. And in terms of practicality, I'd say building this army itself is pretty practical, but going around getting all of these, probably unnecessary. You don't really need to do that. And you are at the whims of luck in terms of sailing around. And there are also temporary bonuses, as opposed to just building your army up with, get to rank 50 and then just smash from then on. Don't worry about all the stuff. So a little bit of a lower point in terms of practicality. Anyway, it's the end of this one here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for sending this one in. Appreciate you. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Later, guys.